Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 2, the first guest episode of the My Tech Story Africa podcast. My name is Alice Kanjejo, your lovely host, and just a small reminder before we get into the episode to kindly subscribe from wherever you're listening from, whether that's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're tuning in from. Make sure you subscribe, follow, leave a comment so that you can give us feedback on how to improve or what you want to say about the episode that you've just listened to. Other than that, please also follow us on social media at My Tech Story Africa on all major social media platforms. And finally, we are also building the MTS community. This just means that you will have exclusive insights into what's happening on My Tech Story Africa, as well as information on what's happening in the African continent on a tech perspective. Now, straight into the episode. Our guest today is Assane Gueye, who is currently an associate teaching professor at Carnegie Mellon University, Africa, which is an institution that we'll be hearing a lot more of throughout the season. He is also the co-director of CyLab Africa / the Upanzi Network. The CyLab Africa initiative is in collaboration between Carnegie Mellon University's CyBERSECURITY and Privacy Institute and CMU Africa, which aims to improve cybersecurity of digital systems and other emerging economies. In this episode, Assane takes us to a very interesting journey. Now, Assane is originally from Senegal, but his dream was of studying mathematics and physics in France.
My interest in tech and science started very, very early in my age. So I remember when I was in elementary school, one of my strengths was in math.
But things took a left turn as he ended up getting a scholarship to Morocco, which was quite a challenge, but he ended up venturing his way all the way to Switzerland through his brother's contacts. Throughout his journey in Switzerland, he managed to secure scholarships every single year that managed to help him finish his academic pursuits. And these scholarships, along as a strong recommendation, facilitated his admission into UC Berkeley for his master's degree. Now, during his time in Switzerland, he had pursued an internship all the way in Finland, which broadened his horizons in information and communication technology for development. This then aided him to come all the way to Kigali, Rwanda, as part of the core team that built CyLab Africa, where his focus shifted towards enhancing security in African financial services. This episode was especially captivating for me, and I hope you get the same effect as you listen to it. That being said, we can get into the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the My Tech Story Africa podcast. My name is Alice Kanjejo, your lovely host, and today we are joined by a special guest who is part of our Carnegie Mellon University Africa series that we have for this season. I will allow him to introduce himself in a bit. And just as a reminder, please make sure you subscribe, tell a friend to listen to this podcast, to learn, grow, be educated, and just know more about what's happening in the tech landscape across Africa. As you may know, I have been doing my tour across Rwanda to just have conversations with some of the most brilliant minds. And today is no different. Today we are joined by Assane Gueye, who will tell us more about himself, and I think we'll just jump straight into the episode. Usually, maybe in the previous episodes, I do a run through of a brief of the guest, but today we're going to do things different, and I'm going to let Assane introduce himself. So Assane, tell us about you. Just a brief overview. Don't tell us the whole story. We'll get into that into the podcast, but tell us who you are.
Thanks, Alice.
Yes.
I'm happy to be with you today. So my name is Assane Gueye. I am associate teaching professor here at Carnegie Mellon University, Africa. I am also the co-directors of what we call CyLab Africa and the Upanzi Network initiatives. We'll talk about those later.
Yes.
I am originally from Senegal.
Yay!
I would say hop around the world before I landed here. I studied in Senegal, then studied in Morocco, in Switzerland, in Canada, in the US. I had a quick tour to Finland.
Quick tour to
yes.
Finland.
And then, I'm here since 2020, working with Carnegie Mellon University.
That is very interesting because those are so many countries that you've mentioned.
I used to show a picture of those to my student.
Wow. I mean, you're the first Senegalese person I'm actually meeting. Maybe second. I rarely ever meet people from Senegal. So I'm just also excited to, I think that's where we'll begin, you know. Where did your interest in the tech industry start? Maybe it didn't even start from there, but how was your journey in Senegal and then leading up to your next destination?
Interesting. So I need to go back to my childhood memories.
Yes.
But I think that my interest in tech and science started very, very early in my age. So I remember when I was in elementary school, one of my strengths was in math. And there is a funny story. So when we were, I think, the last year of elementary school, where we had to go through an exam to go to middle school, there was every day a math problem that we call the liberator. So that's the liberator. So what does it mean? So at noon, you get the math problem, and you solve it. If you solve
every
it,
student had to.
It's for the whole class. And if you solve it, whenever you're done solving it, you go home and have lunch. If you cannot solve it, you wait until 1. So
would you say you were quick to solve the?
That trained me. So and I think that continued. Math, physics, science in general in middle school. I think that when we did what we call the brevet in Senegal, where that's the exam you have to go through from middle school to high school. So they put student in center. So many schools. That one I did well, pretty well. It's okay, just to keep it modest and humble. But it went pretty well actually in math and physics.
Yes.
Then in high school also. That's really where I was. So yeah, and then I started university in Morocco, doing math, physics, science in general. But it was quite general.
Before we continue, I hope you don't mind me asking around what year. You don't have to say the specific, but around what time was this?
90s. Okay.
The 90s?
Right, between 1990 to 2000. It's quite some old years. And then, yeah, of course, that's my high school and things. And then going to university in the early 2000s in Morocco. Yeah.
I think I wanted to ask, what was the political climate in Senegal? Were there any issues that, were affecting students who were studying at that time, or was everything seamless? Was education a compulsory thing for everybody, or?
Yes, I think that the political climate was quite stable in Senegal during that time. And I say those are also in the days where education was quite strong compared to what it is now, honestly.
Oh, really?
Okay, sorry, Senegalese, but I think that it has deteriorated. And this is a general observation. And due to many things, actually, because I think there are more people now, needs more money and more training.
That's true.
I think that there is work to be done on the education side, but it was quite stable. Compulsory for kids, not really. Your parent would decide to bring you to school.
Okay.
Or if they don't, then you do something else.
Okay. All right. Okay. So landing into Morocco, first of all, how did you get the opportunity in Morocco? In this podcast, we go very deep.
Yeah, this is interesting. So this is really what I'm saying. This is really part of my own history because, so when we were at last year of high school, that we would go through what we call baccalaureate, and during that time also there is, every year in Senegal there is what we call concours général. This is a contest that is organized for high school students. It's a national one.
Yes.
So I participated and I got a prize for Concours General. And I think that I did pretty well in high school and for the exam
you were always
itself.
an academic.
Right. So when you get those, basically the general thing is that, okay, you get a scholarship. They send you to France to go to high school, to what we call there the Grandes Écoles. So these are very prestigious schools. And they prepare you for engineering, for many things actually. So unfortunately for my case, it didn't work. I won't go through the whole detail, but what happened is that I was waiting to get that scholarship. It never came. And then sometime in September, I think that because schools start in September in France, we start being a little bit worried because I gave everything that was asked to give in terms of paperwork, but nothing happened. So I would say September, October of that year was pretty crazy months for me. I would go to the Ministry of Higher Education almost 3 times a week.
Wow.
To see what is going on.
And were your friends at this time getting those?
Some of my friends actually would tell me, hey, I'm going. So it was pretty what's going on. And then my family started also being involved, especially my dad, who was in Dakar, in the capital where I was studying. My mom was in our city. So, with my dad, for those 2 months, we would go from office to office every week.
Wow.
To get this moving. It never worked. So I can
imagine the heartbreak.
It was quite heartbreaking. For my dad, he did frankly more than what he could. For example, he just had a surgery those times. He could not walk stairs. So we would go to office and he would wait for me downstairs. So I will go talk to the people and come back, tell him what they told me. Sometimes they say, oh, come back next week. People were doing whatever they were doing. I'm not speculating what happened, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
So at sometime after a couple of weeks of trying, we said, okay, let's forget about it. He said, let's go to the university in Senegal. That you will definitely get it. And then whenever I can help you. I will help you go to whatever, abroad. That's what that was your dream. So we made that decision.
Yes.
Then I think it was on the 24th of October. It was a Wednesday. So I tell you, this is my story. I remember every single thing. So I was still sleeping in the morning. Someone came and told, oh, your dad called, say that come to where he was working right now.
Yes.
So I woke up and I took a taxi. He said, even go to this shop, they will give you this so that you can take a taxi.
Yeah.
You don't take the buses, for example, so that you can come fast. So I did that. I came to his work. He was already gone. He got a call from what we call Direction des Bourses. That's where they arrange scholarships for people.
Yes.
So he was already there. So when I came, they say, oh, your dad told us to join him there. So I joined him and we talked to the director. I know his name. I'm not gonna. And and he said, you know what? There were some students who were supposed to go to Morocco and they haven't been there. So we have 3 scholarships. Do you want one of it?
Wow.
So
how did you feel about going to Morocco? It's not France.
It's not France. It's no, it's completely different. It was not what I was thinking about. So I looked my dad in the eyes. He looked at me. He said, you know what? Since you have been wanting this, just take it.
Just take it.
So we said yes. And then they say, you're leaving tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
So,
wow.
Yeah. It's a long story, honestly, because we ended up leaving the following week. But just to tell you that life is really unpredictable and full of ups and downs. So, yeah, we was told you leave tomorrow. So the next day I came, but not everything was ready. Out. So they said, okay, you leave on Monday. Yes. Then that gave me some time to go at say least. Hi. That was
even better than just tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So opinion. I went home and see my mom, and then I came back on Monday. The paperwork was still not ready. They say come back on Wednesday.
I know at that time you're wondering, France was doing this and now Morocco, this is going on.
So it's interesting. So on Wednesday I came, they gave us, we were 3 at the end. There are 2 boys and a girl. And we were given our one-way ticket to Morocco. And the departure was the next day, Thursday, October 31st.
You remember the days and time.
And the flight was at 7:30 from Dakar to Casablanca. 3 hours flight.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so now you're in Morocco.
Yes.
Tell us about the journey from that time.
Yeah, Morocco is interesting. I spent a lot of time in Morocco because, and I'm telling this I'm not complaining. My life is good today, but
just not everyone's
for
journey
people,
was
specialists, people who listen, knowing that, life is not
at all. Work. Yes.
So we boarded the plane. We went to Morocco. So before we left, some guy, I won't tell his name, but he was working at the Direction de Bourse. He was giving us advice. So you know that you are going to somebody's country, don't get involved in, going on strike, don't do mess, be a good student. The usual thing that you tell to kids.
Yes.
I remember the name, and that's because the guy told us that when you arrive in Morocco, there is this gentleman, his name is Mohammed Messoudan. He will pick you at the airport to bring you to wherever you need to go.
Yes.
So here we are at the airport in Morocco with one-way ticket only. We didn't have a paper that says that you were going to this university. We didn't have a paper that says
it was just the ticket.
It was just a ticket. And and the ticket was interesting because it saved us at the end. But when we arrived, so the customs and the police, they say, where you guys going? So we say, okay, we are student.
Yes.
So which university? We don't know.
You didn't even know the university you were going to.
Yeah. So who is coming to pick you? We said, this gentleman. The guy was a director of what we call Agence Coopération Internationale. This is a big agency. We are talking about the head.
Yes.
That guy doesn't have time to pick up people at the airport. We realized that at the end. So the police, they say, no, you guys are not student. You are going for adventures, okay? So, we were held at the airport. Mm-hmm. The only thing that saved us was in the ticket, it was clearly written Ministère de l'Éducation Nationale.
Oh,
so the Ministry of Higher Education.
Yes.
So we were arguing with the guys and we showed him that, no, we're students, look at this. Even the ticket was bought by the Ministry.
Education.
I think that at the end, that was kind of believable, and I think that we were making too much hassle to him. He said, okay, go ahead. So it was 11 p.m. in Casablanca. Wow. We arrived. Nobody to pick us at the airport.
So
luckily, one of us had his brother who was a student in Morocco.
Oh,
so the guy came to the airport, and that's...
you slept at their place?
Yeah, at their place. And then the next day, it was a Friday. Morocco as a Muslim country, Friday,
holiday.
It's half day.
Oh, half day.
So So we came, we went to what we call Cité International. That is a house where they host all students. And then our names were not there. So
Here the trouble continues.
yeah, so we did call to the agency. They said, no, we don't know those three names. It was Assane Gueye, Ibrahim Njai, and they Astunjai. So yeah, then what to do? So luckily there was an association of students. So they start calling in Senegal, say, hey, these three guys are here. This is half day. If we don't get their paperwork, they don't even have somewhere to sleep.
It's true.
Yeah, well, let alone being, at the university. It was just to make sure that we have somewhere to sleep. So they...
And did you have money to eat, to get food?
Yeah, it was interesting because, so when I was coming, so my dad said, since things are not sure, take this money and keep it with you so that, if you're in trouble.
Okay.
So at the end, they did send a fax before noon to say that these are real students from Senegal.
Okay.
But that was the first information they got for us. So they needed to then look for schools for us and so on. They say, okay, then now we know that you're a student. You can go to this place. They will give you rooms to sleep. Then we'll work on your paperwork for schools. So we spent 2 more weeks there.
Doing nothing.
Waiting for them to tell us where to go.
Next.
It was, we left on November 15th to go to the city where our university was. School starts in Morocco in September. So we were already 1.5 months late. Yeah. And there was an exam in December. So.
And what were you going to study? I mean, were you choosing the courses
physics.
there? You were going to study math and physics. Okay.
Yeah, so we started then. So first thing is you need to catch up on everything that you have missed in the last 1.5 months and then get ready for the exam. It was pretty intense. It was just studying all the time. So, okay, we ended up doing okay in the exams, in December exams. Then the first year, the other thing is that we were supposed to get scholarship. It never
Did you
came.
not?
So that year, the whole year, we didn't. So the scholarship was 2 parts. So one was paid by Morocco, the other half was paid by Senegal.
Yes.
But for some reason, the Senegal portion never came that year.
Oh.
So luckily, me and my other colleague, we came with money. And that's how we kept ourselves alive the whole...
That must have been so intense.
Yes, so it was...
Because you rarely ever hear such stories these days of people applying and then now you go and you're lost. Everything is usually done prior to reaching the place.
No.
But it's crazy that that's an experience you had, but I guess it's part of your journey.
Exactly. So, but on everything in French, they say the bad can lead to good. So anyway, so it was really, I spent 2 years in Morocco. It was tough. I really wanted to leave after that. So after 2 years, I went to Switzerland through my brother who was doing trading with Swiss. He contacted some universities, so I went with him, and I ended up with at the École Polytechnique Fédérale. It's a Swiss Institute of Engineering, Technology. So I went there. So first thing is that they don't recognize, there was no equivalency in diploma. So I had to start.
You had to start again.
Again.
Wow.
So, and not only that, I had to start with a preparatory year.
Oh, so Morocco was
yes, was
not.
Yes, it helped in the sense that I was in math and physics, so I was very strong.
Yes.
So when I studied that preparatory class in Switzerland, so I went to Switzerland under my own means, meaning my dad was helping me to go to school. So it's very expensive.
Of course.
So the first year was very, very expensive.
Of course.
But after that, I got a scholarship.
Oh, because of your good academic performances.
Yeah. So, and throughout my years in Switzerland, every single year I had a scholarship from the school.
Wow.
So that experience has led also to something that was, then I did well in Switzerland that got me also good letters of recommendation after I got my master's to go to the US.
So that's where you went at
UC Berkeley. Yeah, which is...
Yes, yes.
A school. Getting to Berkeley is... It's
a big deal.
It's a big deal, yeah.
It's a very big deal.
But then I went to Berkeley. So when I was in Switzerland, I mentioned Finland because I did my master's, the master's internship. So basically at the end of the master's program, you have to do an internship. I went to Finland. I spent 6 months there and came back to Switzerland.
Did you not find it difficult to adapt to the different cultural differences you were continually moving to and fro?
I think, no, I mean, you're a student, your life is study well, eat and go to sleep and have some good life. I don't think that it was... I mean, you would like some countries better than others. I mean, for example, Finland was kind of winter all the time. So Switzerland was nice. And even while in Switzerland, I went to Canada as exchange student for 1 year, for 1 academic year. So it was changing, but in the same scholarship, student in academic environment.
Yeah.
So what would change was really the language, because in Senegal it was in French, in Morocco it was in French, in Switzerland it was in French, and then at some point they started doing some courses in English. So when I went to Canada, part of it was really to work on my English.
Oh, so at that time your English was not so good.
Yeah, right? So meaning that the first semester was quite difficult. Some semester there. Yeah,
that's what I'm experiencing here in Kigali when I'm trying to explain where I'm trying to go or or the things.
That's big. So and then but back to Berkeley. Then I did my thesis, my PhD on the security. So in Switzerland, I was on communication systems.
Yes.
In Berkeley, I worked on the security of communication systems. But I also discovered a group that was doing research that was quite interesting for me. It was called Technology and Infrastructure for Emerging Regions. So basically the idea was to build the technology that is meant to be used in developing regions.
Yes.
So that was quite a natural fit for me.
Yes.
So while I was doing my thesis in communication system and security, I was also involved in what we call today ICT4D, Information and Communication Technology for Development.
Before we go too far, could you just explain what communication systems, what you mean by that?
So we start, of course, the telephone is a communication system.
Yes.
But today, I would say communication system is really mainly the internet and what is around, because even telephone now is going through the internet. So we use these systems. And if I fast forward, we are in the cyberspace today.
Yes.
And this is enabled by communication systems.
Yes.
But security is important. At some point, it was protecting the communication systems themselves. But now security is beyond that, because through communication systems, you can reach the power grid and you can create issues for countries.
Yes.
through those technologies, we are doing, financial transaction today. And if no security, that means that it can be very bad. So
yes.
so
Okay.
that's
So
communication
naturally it
systems
segued into
and
cybersecurity,
exactly.
as
So
you mentioned.
so at that time, I mean, we knew the word cyber, but I think that it was security in general. Then now cybersecurity is the common word that we use for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think my follow-up question is, you've mentioned concerns of, maybe I should ask this later, but the question I was going to ask is your concerns about security and digital systems. So how do these concerns differ when you're looking at them from an African's perspective? You mentioned developing and focusing on the developing countries, which came naturally to you. And, what unique challenges do you see in this context?
Yeah. That's interesting because that brings us to where I am now, here at CMU Africa, where, as I said, I co-lead an effort that is called CyLab Africa.
Yes.
So CyLab Cybersecurity Laboratory.
Yes.
Okay? So when I joined here, we were in a discussion of considering security for financial services in Africa. Why? So financial inclusion actually is one of the bullets that if you throw it, you hit 7 or 8 of the Sustainable Development Goals. So it's important, and people are banking on financial inclusion to uplift people in the continent.
Of course.
And Africa actually is leading in some areas like your mobile money, for example, that was born from your country.
Yes, M-Pesa.
So, but the reality also is that as we are doing that, as we are moving in the cyberspace in general, as we are digitalizing, reality is that Africa is lagging behind when it comes to cybersecurity capacity. So we lack skills. We don't have the people that we need. Shortage in cybersecurity skills is global. Yes. But that is even more pronounced in the continent. Actually, very recently we have started to see cybersecurity programs in the continent. Most of the time, people were in a computer science, computer engineering program, and they add a security course. But trainings or programs that were training people to become cybersecurity experts did not really exist in the continent. So that's one aspect of it. The other one is that there are many issues that are global when it comes to cybersecurity, but there are issues that are, I call African issues of cybersecurity, at least more pronounced in the continent. First, I can go over, feel free to stop.
No, go ahead.
When you talk to teachers,
they can talk forever.
Yes, you need to take the freedom to stop them when you need.
Now that you've already stopped me, I have a question that was lingering while you were speaking. Is there was a lack of, enough cybersecurity, especially in Africa. I think people when people are doing the courses such as computer engineering, the main priority is normally in your back of your mind, I'm doing this to build my own product. Exactly. I'm doing this to help somebody, do coding and whatnot. But do you think that maybe this is because of the lack of knowledge of the importance of cybersecurity, yes, but also the lack of opportunities in the cybersecurity space. And so we avoid even focusing on that because which organizations are going to hire me for this instead of the other way around.
It's a mix of those and other reasons.
Yes.
So just to add to what you were saying, there are studies that shows that today 90% of the fintech solutions that are out there in Africa, they are out without the required security measures. And the reasons, some of them is, for example, as a fintech company, I want to develop my product and get it to the market as soon as possible. So that's a problem that is around the world. Even big companies, they have that problem because, time to market is important. That's one. So they are really doing their best. And most of the time, this is why we have what we call deploy now and fix later. That's why you have updates, regular updates on your machines, because you cannot solve all security problems. So that's one. The other one, especially in Africa, is that you don't even have the people to build the security solution on your solutions, because we are lacking those people. And this costs money as well if you have to hire them.
Is it expensive to
and
set up
time.
cybersecurity
Center, or even have a team, a security team within your development team. So that's why most of the time we get those. And sometimes it's also awareness. I mean, some people needs also more awareness. I mean, we need awareness in the continent in general. So that brings now the issue, a lot of products out there that lacks the security requirement in the continent. But we have other problems. My grandma...
It's the prioritization of the problem.
Yes, so my grandma is now living in cyberspace. But we are talking about digital literacy in the continent. Okay, she can barely use all functionalities in her phone. So, and she has her money in cyberspace now. She's doing transactions. So we need to protect that person.
That is true.
That's more African than European, because in Europe, maybe everybody has some level of digital literacy.
Yes.
We don't have that.
Yes.
We have other problems and I will maybe, because we cannot list them all, but other problem that is more African is that data, we connect through mobile broadband here in the continent, and it costs money. It's expensive, actually more expensive than what's happening elsewhere else.
Yes.
So now you buy data, and your computer is trying to download things to fix the security.
Yes.
You lose your data.
You do.
So many people, they disable those security features.
Yes.
Just to first save on data, but second is that our computers, most of them, they are not very performant in terms of computing and storage. So if they are doing other calculations than your job, you tend also to disable that.
Yes.
So many people in the continent, they face those. And we have also people using feature phones to access the cyberspace. So that means that there is need to approach security from an African perspective. And that's what led us to CyLab Africa.
Yes, I was actually now going to ask, from UC Berkeley, what was your connection to CMU Africa and starting CyLab?
So we'll come back to CyLab Africa. So from UC Berkeley, when I graduated, I went to a postdoc program at the University of Maryland in College Park. So, and I was jointly working at the University of Maryland and the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, which is, I would say, the technology branch of the Department of Commerce.
Yes.
So I was in both for 5 years. Then I went to Senegal as a faculty. I was at the university there. During that time, I got an award, so I was part of the first class of what we call the Next Einstein Fellows.
We apologize. First class.
Right.
Yeah, but throughout, you've always been a smart kid, it seems, from the time you were younger.
Yes. So it's interesting because that fellowship was what brought me first in Rwanda. So we had the fellows too. So the first ceremony happened in Senegal. It was a big, they brought more than 1,000 people in Africa. And I am proud to talk about the Next Einstein Forum because the spirit is to really inspire young African to get into science and STEM in general. And how their approach to do this is that let's feature some young Africans who have done something in their area and just showcase them.
Yes.
That's what they did. And I'm happy to talk about it because some kids came to me and say, I really want to be scientist because I've seen you on TV.
Yes.
So it was quite inspiring. So, but as fellows, we had tours. So we went around visiting countries, visiting companies.
Yes.
Then when I came to Rwanda, I made a presentation at CMU Africa. At the time, they were back in the city. So I talked about my work and so on. So that was the first connection
that you had.
Yeah, then I went back to Senegal, continue my work. Then one day this open position came. I read it, and the first thing was, let me contact the guy I knew at CMU Africa. So I talked to I sent email. I mean, we talked first, then say, this might be a good fit for you. Yes. That's how we started. And then I went through the interview process, which is another interesting part of my life. I think that's really, I have gone through blessing during that time, because the third edition of the Next Einstein Forum was happening in your country. It was in March 2020.
Oh, wow.
So, and I was supposed to attend that one.
Yes.
So, during the discussion, I was asked to do my interview on the 16th of March.
Why are you're so particular about dates?
Yes, because it is important.
It was a significant day.
Yeah, so and I asked to do it on the 4th and the 5th, because after on the 7th, 8th, I needed to be in Nairobi. And then I wanted after that go back to Senegal.
Yes.
So it was set. So I came on the 4th and 5th. I was doing my interviews in this campus. Then guess what? COVID hit.
Wow.
So the big conference that was where we was expecting 2,000 people in Nairobi got cancelled. So I did my interview here, and they rebooked my flight to go back to Senegal right away. So I went back to Senegal, and then the world was closed.
Yes.
So
that was a dark time.
Oh yeah. But the interview went well, and finally I got the offer.
But did things have to be online then?
Yeah, we were doing everything online throughout the COVID period. I got here actually in August, end of August, during COVID, but we were all remote actually.
So you went back to Senegal?
No. I was in Senegal. Then from Senegal, I came in Kigali.
Yes.
To teach.
Yes,
but
and then you
still,
shut down.
No, it was already shut down in March.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the university one is still need to be here. Yeah. I think that because of process.
Yes.
So I was here, but teaching from my home every day.
Yes.
But yeah, that's how I landed here during that period of COVID.
Okay.
And started CyLab now to work on those cybersecurity from an African perspective.
So that's, you mentioned that, where did the concept of Upanzi come from in connection to CyLab? Right. And you were brought here to specifically focus on cybersecurity across Africa.
Yeah, so cybersecurity was part of my mandate when I was joining Carnegie Mellon University. The CyLab Africa opportunity came along the way, because during that time there was interest from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to investigate cybersecurity of financial services from an African perspective. So we got a 2-year grant. Right when I arrived, we got that grant, and it was a pretty big grant to establish CyLab Africa, which was an initiative between our main campus. So CyLab is at our main campus in Pittsburgh and CMU Africa. So that's the name CyLab Africa. So we started on investigating issues that are of security issues that are of relevance to the continent. But it was a 2-year effort. We had to come up with also a long-term vision.
Of course.
And so the long-term vision was inspired by this the digital transformation of Africa in general, because we were seeing that cybersecurity is across the board. We are adopting many technologies in the continent, and there is today a big push on open technologies.
Yes.
The reason is that there are many, but one of them, for example, is to avoid countries to get into what we call vendor locking. So I sign a contract with you, and I cannot get out of it for many reasons, especially when it comes to technology.
Yes.
The legal aspect is already a nightmare to get out of contracts, but the technical aspect is even more
difficult.
Yeah, because once you roll out technology, getting back to somewhere else and changing everything, it's really a nightmare. So the tendency is that once you get into you cannot get out. But if the technology is open, the basis of the technology is open, it might ease that, and many other reasons. But the motive, our inspiration was around what the UN actually and other organizations calls digital public goods. And these are digital technologies that are supposed to help people, basically, with a number of requirements. So that's what brought Upanzi. So instead of focusing only on cybersecurity, we broaden the area to all those open technologies that we are now looking at for the continent. And the inspiration, and I will come to Upanzi and stop, is we cannot do this alone.
You can't do it alone.
No, we are one campus, one small campus in the continent. Collaboration was important.
Of course.
So the idea was, let's not even try to do it alone. Let's collaborate with people around the continent to work on these problems. So that's the network part. So we collaborate with other universities in the continent. And we needed to give it a name. That's why we call it Upanzi.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Upanzi, what did you say Upanzi means?
So it's Swahili, but it's the process of planting a seed. So we are planting the seed here in Kigali as a unit cell, but the hope is to replicate the work and the research and the implementation that we are doing here around the continent.
Yes. Just as a follow-up question, could you share a specific example of a project or an initiative within CyLab Africa specifically that embodies the concept of, having an African outlook in mind? How does this approach influence, the project's designs and outcomes?
Okay.
Yeah. So
a number of them. For example, one of the projects we have worked on and we are still working on is we say that there are many solutions that are out there without the security requirements.
Yes.
Okay. So what do we do about it? So one of our projects is, we go to the App Store and then we look at solutions that are there. I think that we are talking about 700 solutions that are being used by around 700 million people.
Is with a specific focus on fintech or just in general?
These ones are more so financial apps
Okay.
that we have looked at. We started by looking at 18. Previously, we are analyzing 224 apps used around the continent, and we do security investigations. And we share our findings with the community so that people can now have a better security posture. We are not going to say, oh, app A has this kind of vulnerability. That's not what you should do as if you want to help security. But we say, okay, in general, these are the categories of apps that have more vulnerabilities, and people and suggest recommendations what people need to do to make those more secure.
Do people take up these recommendations? I mean, it's one thing to give suggestions, but how is the implementation?
Yes, so that's let me come back to that in a minute, because this project actually, and it's related to your question, started differently. So when we started, we say, okay, let's offer security services to companies around the continent. So companies, they go through audits, security audits, where you check your systems and see where the gaps are and fix them.
Yes.
Okay, they are supposed to. Okay. So we said, okay, let's offer that for free. And guess what?
People never took them.
No, for a year, we were looking for, I think around 30. I think we barely get to 12 participants. So, and even those, they did part of what we were offering. So, for people have reasons. I mean, I don't know you. Who are you to come and give me free? I mean, and sometimes also it's like, this is making me do extra work. And I have my mission. What should I do? I mean, they have reasons, honestly, but it never took off.
Yeah.
So then we say, okay, instead of doing this, let's go to what is available publicly and analyze and share recommendations. We are doing that. We are hoping that this will be, that at least it will ring a bell, and then that encourage people to not only consider the recommendations we are giving, but also be even more proactive into accepting the services that we are providing. The main goal is really to help the environment in terms of improving security. The tools that we are developing, we are using actually to do those tests, they are all open source in the sense that they are out there for others to use. So the hope also is that other people who do security, and even fintechs now, they can use those solution and do a little bit of test of their solutions before it gets they get out. That's one project that really has an African mindset. Another one that we have worked on is we wanted to understand the user's perspective, because I talked about my grandma. What's my grandma perspective on security, privacy, and so on? So we did use a study trying to understand some African problems in there. One is third-party SIM. What does it mean? I want a SIM card, but in all countries in the continent, they say, if you have a SIM card that you want to use for mobile money, you have to register the SIM card with an ID. But guess what? Half of the people in the continent don't have ID. So what do you do?
Wow.
So I go to my cousin and I ask him to register for me.
That's true.
That's third-party SIM card.
Yes.
But it brings a lot of issues now, because, okay, I ask my cousin to register for me. What we have seen is that if I go and do something wrong, he gets arrested. Okay? In terms of privacy, he has access to everything that I'm doing.
That's true.
And beyond. So we wanted to understand that African problem of mobile money specifically.
You have to.
Yeah, another study that we did was understanding the interaction between agent, mobile money agent, and users. So the agent network is the last mile when it comes to mobile money.
Yes.
And they have, they have enabled access to mobile money. Banks are not everywhere. So the agent who is in a corner shop in the village is really doing part of what the bank is doing.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. But that person is getting people's ID cards, copies of their ID cards, people's PIN numbers, because my
They're
grandma
doing it.
would go and tell, I want to send money. This is my PIN. Help me send money. So they have what we call a lot of personal information that they manipulate. And that brings a lot of risks. So we wanted to understand that problem and come up with solutions. So we did a study, user study on that particular one, and now we are designing what we think is a solution that can help the agents do the great work they have been doing without exposing the users. Another problem that is related to that is that countries now have what we call data protection laws. Those say that if you are manipulating some type of data, you need to take a certain care. But you are talking about the guys who just is a corner shop person, has no IT training, but is using, he's manipulating people's information. So if you tell those people, you need to handle the data in a certain way, otherwise we'll shut you off, then they will go out of business because of the regulation. So the hope is to come up with technology that can help them continue the great work while protecting people and protecting them in general.
That makes sense. And I think the solutions that you've just mentioned are very Africanized.
Yep.
And, that's what we hope. We hope that the solutions you're building at CyLab / at CMU are able to, penetrate through people's and countries and provide the solutions that they need. I think we need to start wrapping up, but I had just one other question before I get to the final questions. I don't know if you saw the brief. If you didn't, I do have 5 final questions that I'm going to ask you, short and sweet.
That's a lot.
But I just have one last question.
That's 6 then.
That's 6. Looking beyond what you've already done in the cybersecurity efforts, according to you, what's your vision for the future of African cybersecurity, and how do you see Upanzi evolving and contributing to this vision?
So I think that what I've been saying is, so we are moving to the digital space, and there is no question that this brings a lot of opportunities. People have been talking about African leapfrogging. Yeah, and basically the digital is helping Africa to leapfrog and reach prosperity very quickly. And we have seen some sign of this happening. But the reality is that also the risks now are even higher than, and life risk I'm talking about. Digital is being used in healthcare, okay? We have seen cases where a virus has hit a hospital and they don't have access to the information systems. And that is used to plan for surgeries, for example. And we have lost the surgery plans.
Yes.
Or the computers that we are using to help the doctors do the surgery are down.
Yes.
So we are talking about life and death events here.
It's true.
So if we are not able to protect the system that we are using, we are putting ourselves in danger.
Risk.
I used to say the dream
I
might
was
become
just
a
going to
nightmare.
bring it up because that's
Yes.
one of the first things you said when I started
Yeah.
interacting with you.
So that means that we need to build that capacity in the continent. I think that what I see in Africa and digital and security in general, I mean in particular digital in general, is to be able to build the technology that we need. We should stop being consumers of technology in general and be producers, especially the ones that we need. And that goes all the way to be able to secure it, because if you did not build it, you cannot secure it. That's what people say. So what I see really, and where I see Opandi and CyLab Africa is really to enable capacity building in the continent. Of course,
Wow.
we came out of a university. We are part of a university which is doing its part, but there is more. I mean, this is a very, very wide field. And so what we do is really helping, first starting with our students to develop cybersecurity skills, but extend it to the continent through the network now. Yeah.
Yes.
So one of activities that we are proud of is called Pico CTF Africa, where we organize a cybersecurity contest around the continent.
Oh, that's interesting.
To introduce especially young kids to
encourage.
Yes. So because most of the kids, they consider cybersecurity once they are at the university. They even didn't have an idea
It's
when
not
they
one
are,
of this. What do you want to become a cybersecurity?
they won't tell you. Yeah. So
Isn't,
Pico
yeah.
CTF is trying to bring cybersecurity early in the age,
Which
and
is
we are doing
important.
training. We are organizing a contest, giving prizes to encourage people, and it's picking up a little bit.
well.
I think that this year was our second edition. We have 1,300 people participating around the continent. But that's one of the activities that we have in the lab. We are developing cybersecurity lab. I mean, a cybersecurity lab where students can come and really acquire hands-on experience, so that when they get out, they are ready actually to work. So
Okay.
capacity
I like
building,
that.
I think that
Capacity building.
is, and it goes all the way to being able to do research, because if you are in the forefront, if you want to be in the forefront, you have to be doing research. You cannot be catching up or using what people are doing for building for you. And that's what when I say we need to be able to develop the technology that we need. That's really research. That's how you come up with new innovative solutions and put it out there for us to use.
Okay. I think that's a really good vision, and I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that people are able to, from when they are younger, see cybersecurity as something they are looking forward to doing and not avoiding it, or not even having conversations about it, and having a platform like this to have such conversations, to incentivize people on, to have more interest in cybersecurity, not only for the companies that they work for or whatever they are building, but also just for their own personal safety and their family members. Because as we are here in big cities, but the people, your mother or your grandmother or the people in the village, there are things they need to know from scratch. So I do love that.
Yeah, security is a field where everybody has a role to play.
Everybody has a role to play. It all starts from everybody has an individualistic role to play.
It starts from the end users, for example, not clicking to that link that was sent to them. Because once you click, now you have enabled a virus to spread and infect everybody in your neighborhood.
Exactly.
And then infect the whole country and bring a country down.
It's true.
Everybody has a role to play.
Now to my closing questions. They're short and precise, and just to wrap up the entire episode. So the first question is, what's one word that you would use to describe the journey to where you are today, and why?
I'll give two words:
Okay, that's fine.
patience and hope.
Patience
And they
hope.
go together, I think.
Why is that?
I think that I talked about where I come from, all the issues that
That you went
I
through.
went through. If you give up in the middle of the road, you will never get there. So it's going to be hard, the journey, and then everybody actually. If we talked about you, we'll certainly see that you have gone through some struggle.
Exactly.
So don't give up in the middle of the road. Keep going despite the hardships, and one day you will get there.
One day you will get
Patience and hope.
there.
Patience that helps you with what is difficult now. Hope helps you to move forward because you know that there is something that is happening somewhere down the road.
Yes.
So it keeps you moving.
It keeps you moving. Okay, I like that. And what advice would you give to someone who is aspiring to get to where you are today?
So I was a student, and that's really the backbone of my journey. And as students, I think that the main advice is whatever you were learning, try to learn it to the best.
Of your ability.
Yes, because one day, in one situation, it's gonna come back and you will say, oh, I wish I had a better understanding of this particular thing when I learned it in high school or in my first year of university. So don't be content with average.
Don't be content with average.
Yes, be the best you can be.
Wow, I really like that. My third question is, do you have any regrets or something that you wish you did differently?
So, I mean, when it comes to life, I don't like regrets because this is your experience. But of course, and when you go through things, you make decisions and things. But when you look back, you see that there are things that if you were given another chance, you would do differently.
Yes, of course.
There are many of those. and just to tie it to my advice is that I just gave is, if I were back to school, every single subject they bring, I would try to get the most knowledge out of it before the end of the year. I don't care about grades. Grades will come. I will try to understand to the best possible. Right. And then move forward.
Okay. I like that response. I think the last question that I have for you is, it's not a question, but it's it's a sentence. But give us a powerful parting shot that you think would inspire our listeners.
I talked about patience and hope. But sometimes also we are in an emergency situation. I think that as we are moving to cyberspace now in the continent, and to avoid the dream to become the nightmare, we need to make sure that the technology we are adopting are well secure. And we need to prepare the people who will be protecting those technologies tomorrow. That is urgent. That needed to happen yesterday, and we are still thinking about it today. So I think that we need to move very fast into developing digital capacities in general, but specifically security capacities in the continent.
That's it.
Well, thank you.
That is a good way to end this episode. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We have learned a lot from you, Assane. Thank you so much for highlighting, more about cybersecurity, what we need to do, the challenges, the solutions that maybe we can lean towards, and also just sharing your journey from when you were in Senegal to where you are today. I truly appreciate you honoring my invite to come in here.
Thank you for inviting.
And I'm wishing you nothing but the best in your journey as you build Upanzi and whatever it is that you're going to move forward with. And yes, as our listeners, please make sure that you subscribe, like, share, comment, tell a friend about this podcast. Next week, we are going to have, not probably, is not the right word, but we are going to have yet another guest here with us. So make sure that every single Tuesday you are tuned in. My name is Alice Kanjejo. Our guest today has been Assane Gueye. I keep mispronouncing your name, Assane. Our guest today has been Assane, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a lovely day.